Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Cindy's Cards and More. And today I'm going to do a card with our Snowflake wishes. Now this is a stamp set that's in our main catalog. So one that kind of is forgotten a little bit because we're focused on our holiday catalog, but I decided to go back to one of our oldies but goodies. I just love this stamp set. There's some great stamps in here and there is some wonderful dies. Let me show you some of the dies that we'll be using. Look at all of these great dies that you can cut and layer them. So there's also another couple of dies in here too. We've got this one that actually just cuts and leaves an image on the paper, and then you can cut this out to have a window in your card. So some great dies and stamps with this set that we have. Now today I'm going to show you what I did this card yesterday over at Paper Crafts by Elaine, and I got inspired. I love these colors. This is Coastal Cabana and Polished Pink. So I decided I kind of wanted to use those same colors again, but completely give it a different look. So this was my inspiration for my next card. And so I decided that this is the card I'm going to make for you today. And this is with our Peaceful Place Designer Series paper. And I love the fact that we had one in here that had our snowflakes in there. So with a little bit of bling that's already in there with the shine. And I thought this gray color would be great. So I'm going to still be using Polished Pink, but I'm going to be using Bermuda Bay as my base. So instead of doing the Coastal Cabana, but I'm just going to still use those two inks, which will be Coastal Cabana and Polished Pink. So let's kind of get this started. I'm going to kind of get all my pieces together, and I will give you the measurements of what I cut everything out with. So my base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I did that with Bermuda Bay, and then I scored that at 4 1/4. I'm sorry, I just said that wrong. 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. All right, well, you know, it's the afternoon. My brain already is just a little bit asleep, I guess. And then we're going to do our Polished Pink. And so I did that at 1/8 shorter. So it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And that's what I'm going to do one of the layers on. And then my Designer Series paper is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. So those are the three pieces that I'm going to do for my layer. And then we have, of course, your standard 4 by 5 1/4 basic white for the inside of the card. All right, so on the snowflakes that I already did, I did that in Coastal Cabana and Polished Pink, and I went ahead and cut them out, and I used this die to actually cut them out, which was a great little die to use, and I did that for both of them. Now I did this in full strength because I wanted it to pop on that gray. I thought that would make a very pretty picture. But what I decided to do, I cut all of these in their basic white, and I'm going to go ahead and color them with our inks, and I'm going to use my blending brush. So I'm going to kind of just do a little bit of temporary ink down just so they don't move around a lot as I color them. And I'm going to do these in different shades because this way I'm going to be able to layer. I'm going to go ahead and do another one of these because I've already decided I'm going to do a little bit of embellishment on the inside also. So I've got all of these set here. So now I know what colors that I'm going to be using for this. So my Coastal Cabana, I can make that as light or as dark as I'd like. That's what's nice about when you're using your blending brushes. So on this one, I'm going to use that with my Polished Pink. So I'm going to do that with my Coastal Cabana, and I'm just going to go ahead and lightly I'm going to just kind of go on, move this up just a little bit. I'm going to go on the outside, and I'm going to kind of blend up. That's what I decided to do with this. So I'm just going to kind of keep adding some color to it as I stamp, just so you can kind of see the process. I just do a little bit at a time on my paper that I use, and I'm going to try to make this a little bit darker in the middle. So I'm going to do a couple of taps just in the middle to make that darker. but still give that light color on the ends. I decided I wanted just to kind of do more, well, more a little bit of an ombre effect, but just kind of giving it an eyeball about how I wanted that to look. Now I'm going to do a smaller one over here, and I'm going to layer that on this piece, which this is going to be polished pink. So I'm going to do this with a little bit of color also with the Coastal Cabana. And that's what I like about this Coastal Cabana. You can make it as light or as dark as you'd like. Again, I'm going to kind of give it a little bit of tap in the middle to kind of give it a little bit of extra color right there and keep those edges a little lighter. I'm going to kind of darken that. You kind of make it however you want it to look. All right, so that looks good. Now I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do that in my polished pink. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out so I make sure I get the right inks. You know how that goes if you got one other ink on there. You never know what's going to happen. So in here, I'm going to do that kind of a lighter color, and I'm just going to kind of lightly tap that to give it some color there. I'm going to kind of keep that a little lighter because I don't want everything to be dark. So I'm going to make this a little bit lighter on the pink side. Just make it kind of even out. Now this piece, because I have this, I'm going to layer this with the Coastal Cabana. I'm going to make this one darker. So I'm just going to kind of really tap on that color. As you can see, it doesn't take any time at all to make that as dark as you'd like. And that's what I love about doing our brushes. It's so much fun to do that. Now, on the inside, I'm going to go ahead and do this one. And I'm going to just do this one very lightly with whatever the Coastal Cabana that I have left on my brush. You can always see that you've got a little bit of ink left without even having to kind of go back into your ink pad. And that's the one I'm going to do on the inside of my card. I'm going to do a little embellishment there. All right. So that didn't take any time at all, did it? Now, the only other thing that I want to do is that I want to go ahead and stamp the sentiment, which is going to be, I'm going to move this out, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and this is going to be Snowflake Wishes for a Merry Christmas. I'm putting to add another word in there. And so I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. Go ahead and stamp this piece. Now this piece is 3/4 by 3 5/8. And then I'm going to put that on my Bermuda Bay, which is 7/8 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to go ahead and layer that up. Put that together. And then I'm going to put that on the front of my card. And then I'm going to go ahead on the inside of my card. I decided that I want to do May Your Season Sparkle. No, I think I'm going to do Our Friendship is One of a Kind. I decided I want to do that one instead. Doing something a little bit different. Now on this you could just go ahead and stamp the inside of your card. And that would be great too, but I decided that I wanted to layer this up a little bit. So I've got my piece of Bermuda Bay, and my Bermuda Bay is 2 3/4 by 1, and then my basic white is 2 5/8 by 1 1/8. And I just noticed I think this is a little crooked. So I'm going to take my snips and try to even this out a little bit. Because you know sometimes it happens when you're using your trimmer. But I noticed that it's just a little bit off, but I think I fixed it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and on this, I decided I'm going to go ahead and do my Coastal Cabana for the inside. No, I think I'll go ahead and do change my mind. Polished pink it is, because it's going to be on Bermuda Bay. I don't want it to be all the same. So I'm going to put my polished pink on that, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that, and I'm going to go ahead and layer that up. All right. All right, now I think it's time to assemble my card. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pieces here. Since I've kind of got everything stamped, kind of get all my other pieces out of the way here. so I don't get my hands and things that I don't need to get it into. And I've got my pieces here that I've done. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and layer this up. There we go. And then I'm going to layer this down. That'll work. And there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and take these pieces, and I decided that's how I was going to do some of my layers. So I'm just going to put a little bit of, you can do glue, or you can just do a little bit of tape runner. And you can do an embellishment if you want to make it stand up a little bit. Put that over here. And then I'm going to do my lighter color, which now is hiding as usual. I got, oh, there it went flying over the other side over here. Well, what can I say? And remember, I did that on the very light polished pink. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a little bit and layer that. Got some a little bit of tape runner on that. And I'm going to put an embellishment back here. I decided I wanted to kind of snuggle that up there, but I loved how the two look different. Make sure it stays on the card. And then we have our last piece, which is this little piece here. And then I did my Coastal Cabana on that, and I thought that would be pretty to layer on to give it that little pink behind there and something a little smaller. And I'm not going to do a dimensional on that, just do that. Now we have our snowflake wishes at the bottom we're going to do. So there we go with that. There we go. We're almost done. Now we have the inside of our card. And I'm going to do that with my basic white. This is my favorite part, is assembling everything. And then we already did our friendship, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a little tape runner down on that. Fix this, got a little bit of little willy wonkered there. I got to fix that a little bit. You know how it is. There we go. All right, now remember I said I was going to go ahead and do this other embellishment over here. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think what I'm going to do, instead of doing the big one and layering it, I'm just going to put my small little snowflake in here just as an embellishment. Or actually, I think I'm going to do it up here. Aha! See, you just never know what you're going to do. Not everything always has to look the same. Isn't that pretty? I think that really adds something. Now, you know me, I love my bling, so I'm going to go ahead and add a few rhinestones with my tool. And just add a little bling here and there. It just adds something to make these snowflakes kind of compete a little bit with that pretty background that we have here with our designer series paper. All right. Now, what do you think of that card? Isn't that a pretty card? So here we have this card, which I did today, and the one that I did yesterday. Completely two different looks, but using the same kind of pieces, except I used a little bit different stamp here. I made my own background, and then we have this one. So I think this one turned out really pretty. I think that Bermuda Bay really makes those colors pop. They really do go together. So if you like my video, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. And subscribe if you would like. I also do a blog over at Cindy's Cards and More. So if you'd like to subscribe for that, just go over there and hit that subscribe button. So until next week, I will come up with another quick and easy card for you to do. And this will just add to all of your wonderful Christmas cards that you're doing. So I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the week. And get ready for that turkey. It's coming up soon. See you soon. Bye now.